Let's do it.
On the 365 Message Center show this week, the Microsoft Planner and to-do lists will appear in the recent list on Microsoft 365's homepage. You'll also find an easier way to share pages for SharePoint, yay, finally, and there'll be some announcements that you can make within Viva Connections. This is the 365 Message Center show. And
yes, yes. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. This is episode 297, right?
Yes, you asked it with a question, but you were the person who actually named the page in our OneNote. So, Daniel, how short is your name?
I forgot. I just forgot. But 297 is 3 away from 300. But you don't like to celebrate episode numbers, so...
No, not till we get to 500. Because, there's
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a bit like, you can't, anyway, whatever.
So if you want us to make it to 300, go ahead and give this episode a thumbs up there in YouTube. Might as well go ahead and subscribe while you're at it. You're here. Might as well do that. And if you're listening to the audio podcast, give us a rating. That helps, the formulas and the AI guru thingies in the back end recommend our show to people who might find it interesting as well. Oh, by the way, that reminds me to suggest you go ahead and share this episode. It's very easy. You just click the share button. It's right there. Go on, click it. Share it on social media. Tag us at 365MCS and say, I listened to this show. Those guys are adequate. And we'll engage with you and amplify you as well. And again, so people can find the show. We'd greatly appreciate it.
3 stars.
Yeah. No. 5 stars. 5 stars, but just say, hey, they're adequate. Okay, maybe you shouldn't do that. Maybe you should. That's a great. We should get T-shirts. We're adequate.
All right. Adequate message. It's going to be an interesting week. There is a variety of messages across the board.
Definitely.
Let's just start with it, Daniel. This first one. Let me take it.
With a retirement. Let's retire something.
With a retirement. Yeah. Well, can we even say the word? Oh, of course we can. Twitter web part retirement. MC 662249. We all know why. Because Twitter doesn't exist anymore. That's why.
No.
Yeah, the web... Huh? Well, it doesn't.
Not really. That's not why this is not working.
No. So, really, behind the scenes, we saw it coming. I think there was something earlier messaged in the message center to say if you find that it's not working, then you might want to remove it. Well, it's the same. It's the same advice. It just so happens that it's all official now. It all came down to whether Microsoft was going to pay some money to use an API to be able to access things, and then there was changes in permissions and whether or not Twitter was going to show stuff publicly or whether you had to be signed in. And now it's X, and this web part is X'd. So, remove it.
Here's some money. Oh my goodness.
What change will be rolling out mid-September? So, am I missing something here?
Well, it doesn't work now, but it's still there. They're just saying they're going to remove it.
Okay.
It's going to be retired. Yeah.
Okay. We'll do it for you. We'll do it for you.
Indeed.
I haven't actually tried. Have you tried signing into it? It doesn't give you that opportunity, does it?
No, you don't.
It's not like
there
you
isn't.
can sign in.
See, and that's the thing they could have. Right. They could have done it to where you sign in with an account, right, and then it would show it. But I guess didn't want to do that. I don't know. Maybe that would have broken some sort of rule or something. I don't know. Terms of use. Don't know.
Yeah, but let's move on to more exciting things because that's rolling out mid-September. It'll be removed. On to the next one. which was
Planner.
my list under here somewhere. It was Planner. Do it.
Yes. See your recent Microsoft Planner plans and Microsoft To-Do lists on Microsoft 365 homepage. How many times can you say Microsoft? MC664477. This is exactly what it's saying. They're going to, alongside all of your Loop components, your whiteboard, your Office documents, your Power BI reports on Microsoft365.com, they're going to show planner plans and your to-do lists there as well. So you can surface those up. Really, it's the only modern place that you can find planner plans surfaced up like that, as a hub kind of area. And you'll be able to filter, and say, show me all my plans and all that. So that will be rolling out next month, September 2023, for targeted release, really, I think is what it is. That's when it's going to start. This just says it's going to start rolling out then. And then all customers are expected to get it by early November 2023. Do you have a lot of planner plans, Daryl, or to-do list? Do you see value in this?
I see value in it in a couple of tenants that I work in where they are using Planner. It's a quick way to go in and see, has there been some recent activity in this plan? I kind of want to see a bit more information on that though, Daniel. I want to see whether, is it just this plan has been updated, great, or has this plan got a task that has been assigned to me and this is the task, I want a bit more information than just the plan. And on the list level of things, I used to have lists within To Do, and I just got rid of them today actually. I don't have a lot of need for separate lists, but some people might to signify their own personal projects. I tend to use hashtags, and I'll hashtag a customer name in a task that I'm performing, and that way I can click on that and it searches and finds everything.
Yeah, I agree with you there. To Do is a little... I have a love-hate relationship with it. I love the ability to create tasks for myself from emails very quickly in To Do, but it doesn't manage them very well at all. Try to find them tomorrow. It's like, oh, that was yesterday. You're supposed to take care of everything because it's not on your today, which is tomorrow, right? It doesn't show up at all for you unless you go in there and massage it. It's like, it's ridiculous. I want a running list of all my tasks that I'm trying to do. I feel like that would be more useful in Microsoft365.com, right? In this listing, instead of showing me a list, show me my actual tasks that I need to get done. That would be more useful for me, to be honest.
Yeah.
So To Do is a little wonky, and it's great, but it's also not as helpful as it needs to be in that management area. And I think this is great to surface those lists. But again, I would much rather just show me what I need to do and what I need to accomplish to keep track of. I don't know. That's my...
I think this sort of flow of things is going to appear more in the Microsoft 365 feed, where, hey, what's coming? Meetings, language that I've had around, what I should be doing. I've maybe had a chat and I said something that looked like I was talking about a task. So here you go. Remember to add that to do. And then maybe a couple of other tasks. You were working on this week. You had it open. You added a couple of subtasks or steps. Maybe you want to have a look at that. Yeah.
But so will this become, the feed to rule them all? Because that's very useful, what you're describing. But there's other feeds, and we've talked about that many times. I don't know. I think the way you're describing it most certainly would be very useful. So anyway, and then, of course, it'll show up and be able to refine your search there on Microsoft365.com. Rolling out next month. Speaking of refiners, I just said the word. So,
I
speaking
know,
of
that
refiners,
was very clever of you.
yes, let's refine some email. Please.
Well, we will, but it'll be from Outlook on the Web at the moment. Refiners available in Outlook on the Web, MC664093. Not available for me yet, but apparently it is rolling out. It has begun and is expected to be complete by late August. What is it? Let's get a little graphical. Let's blow this up on the page. We have the Outlook on the Web, and dare I say it, probably if you're using the new Outlook, that it will probably have this too. That when you're searching for something, in this case here, this example on screen, they're looking for the word rent, we'll have, rather than just the results down in the left-hand panel, and we're not seeing a lot here, like this screenshot is actually cut out a lot of useful stuff that would have been kind of handy to see.
Yeah.
Instead, it's going to have the results in what I call like the body of Outlook, where you would normally see the messages. Refiners along the top. So we see an example of the default, I guess, being that it's going to show you mail that matches the word rent. But you can further refine it down to maybe you're just looking for files or teams. Now, again, we don't know what this looks like. We'd like to click through and see. Is this going to be mail that has a file if I click on files? Probably not. Have a look at this, Daniel. Like, I've got mail selected in the picture, but over to the right, past that little grey pipe line, vertical line, I can say mail that has an attachment, unread, to me, mentions. Those are all the sorts of refiners that we're used to seeing.
For mail.
Yet nothing there for date, though, right? Like, it's not like I can refine and say, this week, this month.
That would be so useful. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think that the reference to files and teams, if attachments are already kind of covered in the mail refiner, then maybe files is more about searching for files in your OneDrive, and teams, I don't know, messages that are notifications from Teams.
Maybe. We're guessing here, obviously, because we don't have a lot of information here, and there's no help link or anything. That's what I was thinking, was that if you go to files, it's kind of that doing a search in OneDrive, right? Which gives you, files, and then if you click on Teams, I guess it's going to be messages in Teams versus files in Teams, which we all know is files in SharePoint, which would show up in files instead of Teams. I don't know. We're doing a lot of guessing here. Thanks, Microsoft, because there's not a lot of information. But
well, let's get back to the message and
educated guesses.
Look at what. Yeah, it's just roll out. This is what it'll look like. Users will be able to filter on results easily after conducting a search in Outlook. What you need to do to prepare? Well, nothing. Tell your people that it's there. They'll discover it. If I compared it to... No, I'm not prepared to open up my Outlook at the moment, but you all can do this from Outlook on the Web. Go to Outlook on the Web, click in your search box, drop in a word to search for something. The refiners are... I don't know, they're more useful. They drop down.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got, does it have an attachment, and you've got dates, and you've got various things, so... Hopefully this is just an early screenshot that doesn't truly reflect what's going to be rolled out. But some of you might already have this. So let's take the opportunity. Share your screenshots on socials, tag at 365MCS, and give us a heads up about what this is going to look like.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you'll help everybody else too. So
indeed.
Definitely tag us.
Daniel, tell us about this improvement to page sharing.
Sure. SharePoint page sharing feature, MC665222. This is, as Daryl said, but the lead-in, improved sharing. Right now you can share a page in SharePoint, but you have to go into the library and share it there. Here we're going to, from the page itself, you're looking at a SharePoint page. From the page itself, there's going to be a share link. You're going to be able to click that and have options. And Daryl's showing it on the screen for those on the video podcast. Be able to share the page, which gives you that option, that similar sharing experience. Copy a link to the page or send to email. So you're going to be able to email a page summary and a link for the site members of the site, which is kind of nice to be able to say, hey, I did this page, everybody go look at it. So just right on the page, be able to do that. I think this is very helpful for visibility in the content, right? If you're creating pages a lot on your site, instead of relying on people to find it or putting it in navigation or it showing up in some web part and people getting to it, maybe it's something that really is important and you want to get to the members of the site, or you want to share it off to a particular person. Maybe it's something you found and you're like, oh, this is great. Sally Sue or Jim Bob was just asking me about this. I want to send this to them. So do that straight away on the page itself, without having to go through any hoops. There is a kind of a, by the way, some users in your organization may see this before others, but it will be, everybody will get it and have the same experience. So Daryl, do you like this, kind of ease of sharing experience for a SharePoint page?
Sure. Well, let's think about that. We don't get another image to show what that share dialogue looks like. Is it going to be like when we share a document and we're creating a sharing link? Or is it just that it will copy a link to, basically like copying the URL out of the address bar and sending that through? I guess you can't, you won't necessarily have permission to edit it. I don't know. Let's see what comes of that. But I did notice here, Daniel, just looking at the image, that would normally just give you access to sharing out the whole site, but now there's a site access button above that, which would probably control that too.
Yeah, so actually, if you don't go to the help and support link at the very bottom, but the one above that's what you need to do to prepare. If you go to that link that says, please visit this page, it actually gives you details and shows you the images of what these look like. So the first one is send a link, so sharing the page. It should look very familiar. This is exactly the sharing dialogue that you would see if you had gone and shared the page, right? The copy a link is just that. It's copying a link to the page. Now, is this going to be an exact from the URL kind of share link?
Doesn't
or is
look
it going
like
to be
it.
One of those weird ones? Yeah, it's the weird ones, with the colon U/R/ right? And those are and those are, it's actually good because that means that link does not break if you change the page name or whatever, right? So it actually is good for that link. Send to email, I think it's kind of cool because to me, instead of just receiving a link saying, hey, go look at this, actually seeing a little bit, you see the image, you see the heading, the title, you see a blurb of what it's about when somebody shares it with you. So I think that's great. Again, it's just a simplified, hey, go look at this. I think is very useful.
Where I was going with this, and I'm glad you pointed this out, Daniel, live while we're recording. With this being the type of dialogue that it is, and we're used to doing this with Office documents, etc., that we could change whether people can edit the page. And so you could potentially, using a sharing link, say, hey, I want you to contribute to this page and this page only on my site. Now, it doesn't talk about that in the support doc, but maybe that's where it's leading to. Because it is consistent with the other sharing dialogues we see.
It is. I would really... My question will be, if you do what you're suggesting, you're breaking inheritance, as it were. You're saying, I want you to edit this page, but you don't have edit elsewhere. I don't know. You'll be able to edit it. I just don't know if you're going to be able to edit that page and not the whole site, if it's going to try to throw you into the members. I don't think it will. I think you will be able to edit the page. But it does have a little note here below this that it may have, images and other files from different storage locations. So when you're sharing this page that maybe has an embedded document, right? A document that's being in a web part, a file viewer. Well, if the person who you're sharing this with doesn't have access to that file viewer, then they're not going to see that, right?
Yeah.
It'll give them an error. So, and that's the case for when you start doing this, when you start breaking permissions and doing this one-offs kind of. That's exactly what happens, and that's what's happened before. This isn't a new thing. That's what happened in classic SharePoint. This is nothing new. So anyway,
it looks like it's going to be useful.
Yeah, begin rolling out mid-August. So within the next couple weeks or so for targeted release, and be completed by late August, and then standard release late August, and rolling out through late September. So it'll be coming shortly. And you know what you can do to gauge how people are liking this? You can, send a pulse.
Yeah, give you some feedback that way. Viva Pulse admin experience, MC 665224. Pulse is now available for organizations that are using Viva and the Viva Suite. Maybe, I don't know if you've got a licensing capability to just license Pulse, but Pulse is what a manager or someone within the organization can send out these quick little surveys to get feedback on things. How was that afternoon team building exercise that we did, or how did you find training this quarter, or something like that. So a little less formal than those bigger glint type organizational surveys that might happen in a bigger way. With that being available now, you want to administer it, and so now there is an admin portal, admin experience. And as Daniel and I dug into it, let's just take a look at the screenshot to begin with. It's black. I'm sorry. It's black on black with, Now, can I get to there quickly and easily without... No, I was going to try and show it to you live, but it's similar. The admin... the place that you would find this is if you go into your admin. Oh, Daniel, I'm going to have to do it now. I just
man.
I know it's just what we do here. We try and deliver up value. So I'm in the admin center. I go to setup, and under setup we do have a category for settings, isn't it? Yeah. No, it is setup.
No, it is. Yeah.
Setup featured collections, and you've got your Viva collection of admin experiences and various things. And now I have Pulse, Viva Pulse. Clicking through to that. It does, I wanted to show this because it does look a little different to the screenshot. You can assign the role to someone who can administer Pulse. Good, administering. You can install Pulse for your organization and team, so that will be putting the app into the app rail along with the other apps, and perhaps pinning it as well. Oh, that's the last one down there on the list, pin Pulse to your organization. And then manage additional settings in Viva Pulse. Let's just click through to that and just take a quick look too. This is good. And we also, as this is loading, just wanted to point out, by the way, check it out. Daniel pointed out to me that this is the first time we've seen the first use of cloud.microsoft as a domain. So where you land in on this page to use it, it's pulse.viva.cloud.microsoft. And now you can adjust things like privacy and what's customization, stock questions, whether people can adjust those questions or not, or pose new questions. There's the notification thing that Daniel and I covered last week where, sure, this switch might be here for allowing users to manage their email preferences, and I can do that up here, but you will still, like, go watch last week's episode. There is
it's 2 weeks ago, but yes.
2 weeks ago.
Watch that.
PowerShell command to run to make sure that you will actually get the emailed notification. You can delete users' data, and you can set up a custom support page if you want to direct people through to something a bit more useful in the context of your organization.
Absolutely.
Good to see.
Yeah, so two things, Daryl. One, you mentioned licensing. You get Pulse with a Viva Suite license. Is one way. You can get it with the Viva Insights bundle, which is Pulse and Glint and Viva Insights. Or it actually does have a standalone Viva Pulse license. So there's opportunities here to get a license and use this. I say do it. Get a trial and try it with a team or two, because you can get a trial. I think like 25 users trial and see how they like it. That's the first thing. Second thing is, we talked about this being the pulse.viva.cloud.microsoft domain. So I got a little, I was like, wait a minute. So is there a viva.cloud.microsoft? Is that a thing? Don't try it.
Let's try it.
It gives you an error.
Don't.
I mean, you can, but it's going to give you a certificate error.
Daniel. And
Ooh, wah, wah. It's a certificate error because the certificate is actually for a dynamics365.com domain. So it seems like every domain that they're using and product they're going to use, they're going to give its own cert, I guess. So anyway. But
there it is. Rollout has begun, as you can see, and finished by late August. And let's finish on our headline. We put it at the end, people. Tricked
We've
you.
already brought you
Stuck
value.
Around.
We've already brought value, though. And now
we've
got to the headline. We're going to bring even more value. Announcements in Viva Connections. MC66367. This is something that comes up on every time that a customer wants an intranet. They want to be able to send an alert, basically, to their users to say something important. Like, hey, the water's out, the street outside the main building's closed, or, we're having to go home because it's snowing. I don't know. Whatever, and be able to send those announcements and target them, so that, not everybody cares whether the water is out in your headquarters building when you've got 30 locations, right? So, so what this is bringing, first of all, this message is not a lot of information. It's good information, but it's not the largest amount of value. Where you're going to get the most value out of this message is actually the help and support link at the bottom. When you click on that, then you get some value. It takes you to a learn.microsoft page, use announcements in connections, and it gives you a lot of detail. So the way you're going to author these announcements, you will actually author these from your SharePoint home site. Yes, that's right. When you set that home site in Viva Connections, then you're going to use that home site in SharePoint. There's going to be 3 ways to get to it. And it's here on this page. It shows you click on new when you're on the home site. This is where you would go new and create a news page or whatever. There's going to be an announcement. You can click on announcements in the navigation at the top, or you can go to the gear and say manage. I think it's, manage Viva Connections, go to announcements and then create a new one. So We've covered where you create them. Now let's talk about what you're creating when you create them. And then we'll talk about how it surfaces. So you're going to be able to create these, give it a title and a message, obviously. And Daryl's laughing. I don't know why he's laughing.
I'm just laughing because I clicked the magnifying button to make them
right.
the image bigger,
and
it's
the
about
same
the same size.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you'll do title, message, give it an end date and time, right? And that's required. And then you can target audience, which is cool, right? I talked about that's a big need for this. There's actually more settings. So more options is there on the page to click. And this brings even more value with this because it allows you to add a link to that so you can take people to somewhere, which is awesome. But it also allows users to dismiss it if they see it and they want to dismiss it and remove it from the page. And we'll talk about how your users are going to see this in a second. But then it also has a schedule, which is really slick. And I actually think they should move this above the more options because this allows you to schedule this announcement to be sent at a later date, which is pretty slick, right? To be able to say, if you've got an office in Mexico and an office in the United States or whatever, there's a holiday. Maybe it'd be nice to have an announcement to say, hey, the Mexico office has a holiday today. So please don't try to call those people. They're not going to be there. They're out having a great time on their holiday. I don't know. I don't know if that's a great example, but that's an example. So you're going to be able to then craft this and then send it. So where does it show up? Well, that's the kicker. That's the bit that it's like, oh man, you almost got us. Well, okay, almost got me to love this. I'm liking this, but it's really focused on mobile at the moment. Mobile and tablet devices. Users will get an alert. And in fact, it has a screenshot, shows there when to use announcements. It shows what it actually looks like on the mobile device. If you have
on the dashboard, Daniel.
Yes. And so you're going to see it on the dashboard, and it's going to show at the top, which is great. It's also going to give you an alert on the phone. It's going to pop up and be like, hey, here's what it is. When you click on that, you'll see that. If your phone is closed, it would see, a Teams, when you're on your mobile and Teams alerts are coming, it shows as a Teams alert. We're assuming that when it comes to desktop, and that's a note at the top of the page, one of the notes is it's rolling out to mobile and tablet devices first, and then it'll be in desktop. It still says the same month, September 2023. And so what will this look like on desktop? Don't know. I'm assuming, on desktop in Viva Connections. Now, when you're in the Viva Home experience, not your SharePoint site, but the Viva Home experience, I'm assuming it'll show up there. But we're not seeing anywhere in here that this is going to be available in SharePoint. These alerts are all showing on Viva Connections in the Viva Home experience on the dashboard. It's not showing it on a SharePoint site. So don't know if that's going to happen or not. It is showing in the dashboard, so maybe if you have the dashboard added to your SharePoint site, your home site and SharePoint site, it'll show up there. Maybe. I don't know. That question is not answered here. So I think it's leaving a little bit to be desired. Or maybe, it actually will work that way. I just don't know. But like I said, at the very beginning of this, so many, almost every intranet that I've been a part of, and I've been a part of a good many of them over the many, many years, they all talk about having, yes, I can create news or whatever, but I want to be able to, make something that's special, that's an alert type of announcement. And Microsoft jumping in here to provide this functionality natively. Daryl, do you see promise here? Do you see, this functionality being useful?
Yeah, it's a start. It's part of the reason why apps like the Company Communicator were created, and that delivers the message in via a chat experience as one way of doing that. But it makes sense to have this as part of the Connections experience. I can see where we do want to know what does this look like for a home page, whether it be that it's along the top or it's above the dashboard. But as a start, and by getting your attention, if you've got Teams on your mobile and of course Connections as part of that experience, you get your notification there. But I think that experience of going to a home site or home page and seeing that banner somewhere saying this is something that you need to know is what we'd like to see.
Yeah, I think for organizations that have mobile first users, this is going to be great. If you think about frontline people or even just people that are, organizations that are gotten used to using mobile or, using Viva Connections there, I think it's going to be great. The question in my mind is desktop. How is this going to work on desktop for those users that are, sitting there working on their desktop? I'm assuming they're going to get a notification in Teams and probably get something in the activity feed. But is there something else? And again, if this thing was a web part in SharePoint, that you could add to the home site, then I'd be like, oh, I'm all for it. And I think that would be a great thing. And again, I mentioned it before, it could accomplish that by saying it's going to show up in the dashboard on your, if you have that on your home site, then okay, great. We just don't know yet. But we'll be looking for it for sure.
So when does that roll out?
That is rolling out late August, so late this month, and expected to be completed mid-September for those targeted release folks. And standard release expected to start late September and expected to complete by the end of October. So for those that get it in late August as targeted release, remember it's just going to be mobile and tablet only. And then they said in September, we'll be getting it for desktop experiences. So, yep.
Great. So that is the week, episode 297. Thank you for tuning in and keeping up to date with us. We find the experience helpful for us just as much as it is for you to check in and see what's going on and try and make sense of this. So if you have found it useful, as Daniel's covered off earlier, hopefully by now you've liked the episode. If you haven't subscribed, then you should, because you're going to get more of this great value. And just take the messages out there to your organization and create some awareness of what change is happening within Microsoft 365.
Indeed. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. And next week, we'll be back. But between now and then, please share this episode out. Let us know what you think. And is there any messages maybe we didn't cover that you thought we should? Let us know on the socials at 365MCS on all the social networks that matter. So we will see you next week. Bye for now.